There are other things I enjoy other than video games. Tabletop games, sports, bloody violence that can lead in death. This game has it all.
So close.
Hello and welcome back to Mountain Games. Today I am looking at and reviewing Blood Bowl 2 for the PS4. This is a turn-based fantasy sports game set in the Games Workshop Warhammer world. It's basic American football with tons of injury and death. We'll let the commentators of the game tell you more about it.
But what about all you new viewers who are joining us for the first time? How would you explain a game of Blood Bowl to someone who hasn't experienced the joy and delight of it before, Bob?
Firstly, I'd say, under what toilet in the realm of chaos have you been hiding? Then I'd begrudgingly explain that Blood Bowl is a visceral, violent sport where two teams of players must get an inflated pig bladder or ball across a large field into the opponent's end zone by any means necessary to score a touchdown. The catch? There's only one ball, and the opposing team is trying to do exactly the same thing. The match lasts for 2 halves of 8 turns. The team with the most touchdowns wins.
Very nicely summed up, Bob.
Well, that's the basics of the game. Let's slide this disc into the PS4 and see what it has to offer. There are a few modes to choose from, but let's start with the campaign. This is a great starting point if you have never played Blood Bowl before, as the game starts off with basic rules and introduce more complicated rules as you progress through the story. This also acts as a difficulty spike as the game goes on. As the story starts, you take control of the Reavers. Now this is a rubbish human team that didn't do very well last season at all, and you're the new manager. And it basically acts like a normal league. You work through each game playing against orcs, dwarves, elves and even the Skaven, disgusting rat people, until you get to the final and win the league. But in the campaign, it's not as simple as just winning the games. There are certain objectives you have to complete, like knock a certain player out or commit a foul. These are objectives you have to complete as well as winning the game. If you just win the game and don't do the objective, it's game over and you're back to the start. Well, back to start that game anyway. Now I don't mind this because it teaches you in simple steps of different rules and different tactics of how to win a game of Blood Bowl. As you progress through the campaign, you also get a few star players that join your team. Now these are special players for special rules and basically just really good players. Even the commentator Bob joins your team, which is quite funny because he literally leaves the commentator and the other commentator's like, oh, where you gone? And he's there just appearing on your team. And yeah, that was really fun. Oh yeah, and the script for the commentators is really good. It's really funny and it explains what's going on in the story, and they add an element of comedy to this game, which I quite like. Now the story. I didn't actually pay much attention to the story. I just wanted to score some goals and kick some orcs in the face. I only really paid attention right at the end of the story. Before the final game, there's a cutscene with the Skaven team, basically saying if they win the game, they summon something and it's the end of the world. Well, that's what I got a hint of anyway. And during the final game, the Skaven players keep transforming into stronger, better players. But during that point, my team was so good by leveling up each player, by scoring touchdowns and knocking other players out in the games before this one, that this didn't really affect the game too much. It still was a harder game for the whole campaign, but them transforming didn't really make any difference to me winning it in the end. And even the last few games were just literally win the game to proceed in the story, so that was actually quite easy. The early games were a lot harder. The campaign was okay. Like I said before, it's more to ease you into the game and to explain the rules as you go along. The true story is the one you make yourself with your own team in your own league. That's right, it's story time. This was the story about the Mighty Orcs Blood Bowl team called Orcs, and their motto was ARG. Wow, I was really creative choosing the team name. Yes, you can create your own teams with different types of races, like human, orcs, dwarves and many more. You can even rename the players and customise what they look like with a few select choices. Or just be lazy like I was and use the randomise option. can I get on my story now about the mighty orcs? So, in game 1, one of their blitzers died. They won 2-0, and with the winnings they had to buy a new player because of the dead one. In game 2, there was a pitch invasion that stunned a few of the players. They ended up winning that game 2-1, and their best player leveled up. And then game 3 came around. They had enough spare cash to buy a star player. And then straight away that star player got KO'd, and the game went downhill from there. They did manage to kill a player, which is fantastic, but they still lost 1-0. And that was the sad story of the mighty orcs. A truly sad story. So yeah, that was league mode, where you create your own team and try and win a league. You can do this offline or online. I tried to choose an online game mode, but I couldn't connect to a server, so I'm not sure if the server is still running or not. You might have to look this up. I didn't, I was just too lazy. And if you fail your first league like the mighty orcs, then you can try again with the same team and all of their upgrades. So each time you try a different league, it should be slightly easier, as long as your opponents don't get harder. Now there's only one more mode left to cover, and that is the friendly match. There is a friendly mode where you can play a friend online or on the sofa using a team you've created or one already made. I believe the ones already made are from the campaign itself. If you don't have any friends to play with, you can verse the AI. I do have an actual let's play of a friendly game on my channel for you to check out the whole game or just the highlights. And that's all the modes covered. Now there is some DLC that came out that you can buy different races. I never did, so I won't be talking about that, and I think they're still quite pricey. So finally my thoughts on Blood Bowl 2. Graphically this game looks great. The play models, the pitches and the tackles make the game more exciting for a turn-based sports game. The game is fun once you know how to play it, and the campaign is a great way to learn. The games can take a long time to play, up to about an hour, so you can't just jump in for a quick game. And it's all based on luck, it's all dice rolls, so if you're having a bad day, the game is very frustrating, so maybe play it when you're in a good mood. If you're a fan of turn-based games and the Games Workshop Warhammer universe, I would say give this game a go. But in my personal experience, playing this game is maybe you want to play the actual tabletop version more than the PS4 version. So I'm probably going to look at buying the actual box set sometime this year, maybe next year, and giving the actual proper board game a go, which I have done years ago, but it's been a long time. And another thing is, once the campaign is finished, the credits made me laugh so much. So I'm going to leave that right now for you to enjoy. So thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, please get a thumbs up, a new channel for subscribe. Also, after the credits, I will leave some bloopers, if there is any, and there probably is. So stay tuned for that. Bye.
Excuse me? You're watching the credits? Taking an interest in the talent behind the game, perhaps? Did you know I'm available for funerals, weddings, demon summoning rituals, and bar mitzvahs? Please don't hesitate to contact my agent for more information.
How to play it, and the campaign is a great way to learn. Oh, pardon me. The game is a great way. I'll get there one day. There are other things than video. Tabletop games, sports, bloody violence that can. Turn-based strategy sports games set in the games.